How much does it cost to live in Colombia in 2025? Not as a backpacker, not as a luxury tourist, but as someone living here long term, building a real lifestyle. Well, I've been tracking every dollar that I spend using personal finance software, and today I'm gonna reveal everything. So this isn't some vague estimate, these are real monthly expenses. And if you've been considering Colombia, then this video is for you. By the way, if you're serious about moving to Latin America as a man over 35 and you want some help, I created a free video that breaks everything down. Just click the link in the description. Now let's get into the numbers. So the first and your largest expense is going to be the rent. So this is going to depend on the city, right? Now I lived in multiple cities. I lived in Medellin, Colombia for 6 months. I've been in Cali, Colombia for 6 months. I've been in Santa Marta. I've been in Rio Negro, Maranilla. I've lived like beach life, finca life, city life, all right, all over Colombia for over a year. Now I am in a mid-sized city called Bucaramanga. So to keep this video practical, I'm gonna focus on what it costs in cities like this one, all right? Bucaramanga, Santa Marta, Cali. These are populations about roughly 1 to 2 million when you factor in the entire metro area. And places like Medellin, Bogota, Cartagena are going to cost a little more. They're a little over 2 million population. They're more touristy. So just keep that in mind. And then smaller towns like Rio Negro, Manizales, Maranilla, right, under 1 million population, they're going to be slightly less. So just keep all of that in mind when we're factoring these numbers to give you the most accurate data. All right, so my rent, average monthly rental has been about $682 per month. So I'm going to walk you through each apartment I've rented here so far. What I like to do when I visit a city is I like to live in each neighborhood that I could see myself living in, all right? And in Bucaramanga, those neighborhoods are the Prado Cabecera area, there's Floria Blanca, and there's Cacique. Those are really the three most popular, most walkable neighborhoods in Bucaramanga. So that's where I want to have the most experience, all right? So let me just show you these Airbnbs that I've rented out. So the first one was in Prado, it was a 1-bedroom. This one here, this is a 1-bedroom in the Prado area. Let's click here. Let's go to the price. I'm just showing you guys proof. So $687 per month for the 1-bedroom. Here's what it looks like. I'll probably play some B-roll in the background. Pretty nice view from what I remember, and decent size 1-bedroom. It's actually a 2-bedroom, but I didn't have access to the other bedroom because the owner used it as storage, which I understand. So that was the first place. Second place was Floria Blanca. Let's click here. This was a 2-bedroom and it was $635 a month. This was, I thought, was a nicer apartment. I did get access to both 2 bedrooms. I got access to 2 bathrooms, really nice view of the city, really good area, Floria Blanca. So that was the 2-bedroom. And then we have the one that I am in now, which is a 3-bedroom. And I'll play some B-roll of all of these places. Let's see what the price, $771 for this place. Okay, here are some photos. This is actually probably the best building that I've been in here. It's a newer building, about 10 years old roughly. Has a pool, has a game room, has a gym, has 24-hour concierge. All these buildings have 24 hours concierge. Yes, all of them do have 24-hour concierge. So this is the Cacique area. Again, a pretty decent area, but my favorite area is going to be the Prado Cabecera. So that's where I'm headed back. Let me go back to trips. And this is the 4th place that I will be renting here. It's already rented for a month as well. All these are monthly rentals, by the way. I could stay in these longer term if I wanted to, with the exception of the Cacique one, because there was someone that booked after me. But again, I did this purposely to experience every single neighborhood in the city because I see this as a place that I could consider a strong second base in Colombia, Paraguay being my main base. So you can see here, $636 a month. This is a 1-bedroom, nice view of the city. And I don't have B-roll of this one because I haven't lived there yet, but you know, decent high-rise building, looks semi-modern. I know there's a gym there too where I could do my pull-ups. My calisthenics, there's a pool as well. So when we average all of this out just for the rent, it comes to $682 per month, okay? For living, that's not too bad, all right? If I wanted to go more expensive, I could go more expensive. If I wanted to spend $800 to $1,000, I could get a much nicer place if I wanted to. Or if I wanted to save more money, I could get a decent spot for even maybe $400, $600. And this is on Airbnb, guys. So as you know, Airbnb, everything's included. Internet, services, utilities, furnished, everything. So if I wanted to go cheaper and maybe furnish the place myself, I can obviously go a lot cheaper than this as well. So this should give you a good ballpark of what you can expect to pay in rent for a mid-sized city in Colombia. All right, so food and dining. So I'm factoring the last 2 months because I arrived in Bucaramanga early April. It's now mid-June, so I'm not factoring the June numbers for these next categories here, just to keep it accurate, the numbers per month. So food and dining, last 2 months I've averaged about $330 in groceries here and about 170 a month dining out. So in total, it comes down to about 500. But I've been in a stage lately where I've been more focused on work projects. I've been more laser focused on that. So I haven't really been eating out too much, right? And keep in mind, this can vary a lot. All right. So for example, right now I'm cooking more of my meals at home. I'm buying quality steaks, avocados, eggs, chicken. But I'm still treating myself out to lunches and dinners, maybe 2-3 times a week, something like that. So if you're someone who eats out daily, right, or you love ordering in from Rappi, this can get a little more expensive. But at the same time, you could do like Menú del Días, which might only cost you $3 to $4 per meal, right? And if you're doing that every day, that'll still be less than $500 a month. Or here in Bucaramanga, the restaurants are pretty good. So you could be spending $10, $15, $20, $25 per meal if you wanted to eat very well. And obviously this will come out to more. So it just really depends on your own lifestyle, right? For most people, I think this is probably going to come to maybe 300 to 400 per month. For me, usually like 500, 700. Some of you might be $1,000 a month, okay? Depending on how often you eat out, where you eat out, how often you cook in, and things like that. And the quality of the groceries that you buy too. So let me look at the software. All right, so you see here, April and May, software shows eating out and groceries totaling about 1,000. So it's about $500, $504 average monthly spending, which I think is a good ballpark for the majority of you, maybe even a little less for this category. All right, next is transportation. So with transportation, it really comes down to using Uber for me. There's also Didi, there's also different rideshare apps, but Uber is the best one from what I found. And the good thing is when you're living in a walkable location, you really don't need to use Uber that much. You have everything literally within 5-10 minutes walking, right? Grocery stores, coffee shops, restaurants, bars, first date spots, you name it. Everything's walkable, so you don't really need to use the Ubers much. Unless you're going outside of your zone, which will probably cost you maybe $2 to $3. Or here's the other factor. If you're a single guy dating in Colombia, then what I usually recommend is to offer to pay for her Uber. Now, why is that? The number one factor is going to save you a lot of time, right? So Colombia is a culture where if you agree on one time, it's probably going to be, they'll probably show up maybe 30 minutes, 45, maybe even an hour later than what you expected. So a good way around that is to offer to pay your date's Uber. You can see when she gets into the car, how far away she is from the location that you've decided, which is close to you ideally, right, for logistics. And you just, whenever she's like 10 minutes away, then you just leave your apartment and walk there, right? When she's 10 minutes away, it just saves you a ton of time. And it's also a good look, right? It shows you're a caballero. So just as the pro tip for you single men out there, obviously being a single guy in Latin America has its perks. So since I mentioned that I am really more focused on projects right now and work and things like that, also this YouTube channel and some trainings that I'm doing, I haven't really been going on too many dates, to be honest. I'm still going on a few here and there. But that's why this is about $50 a month. Okay, this could usually might be about $80 to $100 a month for Ubers if I'm more active, if I'm going out more. So just keep that in mind too. I think most of you are probably going to be around $50 to $70. Some of you may be over 100, but let's look at the software. All right, so you can see here $96. If we take a look at all this, all right, you can see here that I typically tally these up on a weekly basis. So that's why they come out to 20, 12. These aren't per ride; these are rides totaled per week. All right, sometimes I'll include a single ride share there too. So that gives you an idea, $96 in total for the past 2 months, which comes out to about $50 a month, which I think most of you are going to be in that range as well for transportation. All right, next category is entertainment and lifestyle. So here's the breakdown for gyms. For me, I have gyms in every single building that I've used. I'll probably play some B-roll in the back. I like doing calisthenics. I haven't really touched weights lately. So sometimes I work out at the parks. Sometimes I just work out in my personal gym, which all the buildings I've been in have it, which is beautiful. So literally this is free for me. But if you're someone who wants to go to an actual gym, it's probably gonna be $20, $30 for your Smart Fits, for your Body Fit might be a little more, Body Tech might be a little more, right? But you'll have plenty of options here. Co-working, I'm someone who likes to work from home because of my 2-screen setup here. So for me, that's completely free. Going out, this is where I typically spend money, is going out and maybe taking some trips. But again, since I am more work project focused right now, going out maybe once or twice a week, somewhere around there, maybe 3 times max. I'm spending about $100 a month, okay? And recently I took a trip to Via de Cuesta, which is a river or waterfall. Probably play some more B-roll there. So for the entire trip, for 2 people, I went with a girl who is actually really into nature. She's it's really impressive. She cooked steaks on in nature, right? So we basically made our own fire, cooked our own steaks using some sticks, and it came out awesome. So it was a really cool experience. That whole trip came out to maybe like $40 for all the food. For I think we ate out after too, for like the Uber rides and all that. So each trip might run you about 40-60 bucks if you're doing it for 2 people. So just keep that in mind. All right. So going out, this might range for me somewhere around $200 a month to $250 most months. But since I'm more focused on work, it only came out to 100, which I think most of you probably be around 150, just ballpark. All right, now healthcare and phone. So I just put these ones, I combine these two together to keep it simple. Health insurance, let's look at the software. All right, so you can see here, spent a total of almost 150 the past 2 months. Health insurance being a lot more than the phone. So the phone, what I do with phone, I buy data with Glado, right? So on a monthly basis, it's really, really affordable. Yeah, it's just 15 bucks a month. That's combined with another plan that I use. So I use a plan called US Mobile, which is actually really good because it allows me to text my friends back home. Like I'm still in some group text of people who are still in the United States, and we don't really have a WhatsApp group, so I'm still part of those groups. Also, the more important factor is the two-factor authentication, which allows me to access my bank accounts. A lot of times your bank wants you to know that it's you. They'll text you a code, and it's not via WhatsApp, so you need a valid US phone number. So it works great for that. Those two plans combined, Claro and US Mobile, is $15 a month, which is fantastic. All right. Now, I haven't needed to visit the doctors or go to the dentist. I haven't gotten any cleanings these last 2 months. So this is just for my full coverage, really for emergencies. I use Nomad Insurance. So as you can see here, comes about to $71 a month when you combine these two things, and my insurance being the more expensive option than obviously the phones. All right, so total breakdown of all these expenses, right? Rent, we factored in about $680 a month. Now, we mentioned that I could go more expensive here if I really wanted to. I could live in really nice apartments for like $800 to $1,000 a month on Airbnb, which is amazing. If I wanted to go off Airbnb, live here longer term, have something, off market, I could spend less than that and still get really good quality. Food and dining is about $500 a month. I think most of you might be a little under that. Some of you might be a little over that. There's months when I'm also over this, depending on how often you eat out, how often you go to nicer restaurants, going on dates, that sort of thing. Transportation, about $50 a month, I think is right on par with most people will be. Sometimes, usually I'm actually around $100 a month for factors I mentioned in the previous section. So I think that's a pretty good ballpark for most of you. Entertainment and lifestyle, $150 a month. I'm usually around maybe $250, $300 on average. But again, just because I'm more focused on work, that's a little less. I think most of you might be around $200, $250 if you were to have a decent social life, decent dating life. And we covered healthcare and phone. So when it's all said and done, ballpark figure, it's a little less than a $1,500 a month lifestyle that I'm living here. And I think this is where most people will be at the end of the day. You're probably going to be around $1,500 a month for a mid-sized city in Colombia. All right. Now, if you want to live in the more touristy areas, like I said, Medellin, Bogota, I did a completely different video on the cost of living in Medellin. So check that one out. You're not living like a king on this budget, guys. You're living pretty well, but you're not living like a king with this budget. You want to live like a king, you're spending more like $2,000, $2,500 a month, my opinion. And if you're someone who is more on a budget, then you can get by with about $1,000 a month. All right, you just rent cheaper apartments, and you cut back on eating out. You cut back on the groceries that you buy, as far as if it's like high quality steaks, that sort of thing. You cut back on your excursions, right? You can definitely get by with $1,000 a month. If you want more luxury, like I said, easily a little over $2,000 or more. If you want finer dining, weekend trips, higher end living, $2,000 to $2,500 a month, you're living really well here in a mid-sized city in Colombia. Hope you enjoyed that breakdown, guys. Once again, if you're in a population between 1 to 2 million, and really any city in Colombia, you can factor those numbers in. That'll be pretty spot on. Now, if you're in bigger cities or smaller cities, you just adjust, right? Maybe plus or minus 500, somewhere around there, if you want more accuracy there. And if you're someone who is seriously considering leaving your Western home country, such as US or Canada, and you want to live a much better, higher quality of life in Latin America, but you might want some help from someone who's been there before, and you're over the age of 35 as a single man, then I created a training video just for you. You can check it out in the description below. Other than that, if this video was helpful, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and look out for the next one.